Hey, friends and purpose partners, welcome to another episode of Rise to Your Purpose. I'm your host, Brandie Thomas, and I am so excited to have a dear friend, Angeline Constantino, who's going to be sharing with you her amazing story of victim to victor. She is a domestic abuse survivor and is now an empowerment life coach who helps women amplify their voice and regain their peace and confidence. Angeline is passionate about providing women of domestic abuse with mentorship program that will help them break their silence and step boldly into the healthier, strong, and confident woman God intended them to be. Her promise is to love you through this healing journey you're walking on, with you out of the valley to the top of the mountain, where your voice and message will be heard and impact others as well. It is time to break those chains of self-limiting beliefs and step into your true purpose and calling through God. So today, I'm so excited for you to hear from Angeline as she shares more about her podcast and her signature program, Let's Break the Silence. So welcome, Angeline. We're so excited to have you on our podcast today.
Yes, and I'm really excited to be on your podcast today, Brandie. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. And thank you for
I
thank you for the wonderful introduction too.
You are welcome. Okay, so Angeline, you do as much as your story as you want to share, but I would like for you to tell us a little bit about your victim to victor story, and how you came into empowerment coaching.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I want to thank for those of you who are going to be listening to the podcast today. My name is Angeline Constantino. So I, there's a story behind how I started my podcast. So actually, this month I am celebrating 14 years that I escaped my abuser,
That's
that
awesome.
I escaped domestic violence. And I was talking to a friend about this the other day. So, she wanted to know my story and everything. So let's go back 14 years, 14 and a half years ago. I was in a very bad place.
Mm-hmm.
I was a really, really in a dark place in my life where at that time I had lost my corporate job. I had lost my sense of self worth. He seized my bank account, and I found myself in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And, prior to that, there was a lot of emotional abuse that was heaped on me. And I thought that I married the person who was going to be the love of my life. And that was back in 1988. And we had just
Mm-hmm.
purchased a home in the Hudson Valley in New York State. So we worked together, and I worked in this business, which is advertising direct mail. So um, it was just not a good situation. And they, like my ex, they're very good at hiding things. So there was something that happened back in his childhood that caused him to be so he was very narcissistic, like a shark,
Mm-hmm.
like a huge shark just coming at me,
Yeah.
for different things. And he accused me of a lot of things. And make a long story short, in December of 1999, an argument had ensued in our bedroom. I'm sorry. And this is when we moved. Um, just, it was really bad. I felt like he was, like I was in bed crying. I was lying down.
Mm-hmm.
I was covered in my robe. And I was just praying that he would just stop because he was yelling and screaming. So finally I said, I'm just going to walk up and go into the other guest room. I didn't make it into the guest room. He took me by the neck, grabbed me by the neck, and he threw me against the wall. I was right near the bathroom, and I fell backwards. And I fell,
Wow.
thank God I fell flat on, thank God I fell on the carpet instead of the floor, because that would have been, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke my nose. My nose was broken, and I was bleeding black and blue all over. And I was just praying to God. I looked up. I said, "Please save me." I said I don't want to die, because I thought I was going to die that night.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up taking me to the emergency room, which was 10 miles away, and I was in ICU all night until about 5 o'clock in the morning. And then the surgeon came out and said I needed to have reconstructive nose surgery. But I didn't have the courage at the time to say what happened,
Yeah.
to like tell the police, because I felt very fearful. So I had the surgery, everything was good. I mean, like I had bandages around my nose and had reconstructive surgery. And, it was just a vicious cycle. It
Yeah.
continued for the next 8 years, and it happened. There was verbal abuse. So instead of the physical abuse, there was verbal abuse. And I had gone out to work in corporate America because he decided to retire his business, and we were making six-figure income. So people thought that we were the Hollywood couple, but that wasn't the case. Behind closed doors, we would go out to dinner, we would do this, go out to lunch, the wine and dine thing back when I was living in New York City. But it was just a very bad situation. So we lost money in the stock market in 2008. We lost over $100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, which was a lot of money, a lot of money. And
Mhm.
fell, the World Trade Center collapse happened.
Mhm.
So I just decided I drew a line in the sand. I went for therapy for about a year through the county, and he had gone for therapy too, but we decided to do separate. But he was getting worse. Like, he wanted control over my finances. He wanted control over like me going out with friends. You know,
Mhm.
I had developed some friendships outside of just very good friendships,
Yeah.
male colleagues, female colleagues, and we would go out. And he became very jealous and resentful of that. And he wanted control. But I woke up one morning in May of 2010, and the good Lord told me file for divorce.
Mhm.
That was like it, and I'm Greek Orthodox, so that was like against, like Greek Orthodox religion, because they
Yeah.
always try to work things out. And I did try to work things out, and I thought everything was my fault.
Mhm.
But through therapy and coaching, I realized that it was not my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not my fault. That it was him, all these behaviors and everything. It was typical narcissistic behavior,
Mhm.
taking control, you know, being manipulative and controlling. And that was, unfortunately, I went through that for the last 10 years of my marriage. And I would say the last 11 years. And I filed for divorce. And I wrote out a check to my attorney, who was really good. Um, and fortunately, children were not involved. So there were no children involved. And I was
Mhm.
able to, break free. But how I went from victim to victor was I stopped lying to myself.
Yeah.
You know how it is, like when you feel like I stopped lying to myself,
Mhm.
and I surrendered my pride and ego, and I said to myself, I'm going to take ownership right now, and I am going to take steps and make a plan to get divorced, break free from domestic violence, and move to Saratoga Springs, New York, which I did. I moved one
Yeah.
year later, and the plan. So I made the plan and I executed the plan, and the authorities knew exactly where I was because I wasn't home half the time. I had a protective order, but it was like a limited protective orders.
Mhm.
So I was staying in people's houses. I was in motel rooms. I was doing all, I mean, I was staying everywhere if you,
Yeah.
you can imagine, you know, for one year. And finally, I drove up here, just not where I live now, but I used to live in a small one-bedroom apartment. I sought refuge up here.
Mhm.
And once I did that and I made plans and everything came together, and I moved up here. And that's when I first got involved in the online space. So during that time, I was able to have a support network, and I surrounded myself with coaches, mentors who were on a higher level than me, because I was looking for change. I wanted it.
Mhm.
It's not serving me playing the victim.
Right.
Yeah, playing the victim doesn't serve you. You can only complain so long, but you know
Right.
what? No one's, including the police, they're not going to listen to you.
Mhm.
You have to take ownership.
Right.
Yeah, you have to take ownership, and that's exactly what I did. So, fast forward actually 4 years ago, right before COVID hit, I decided to start a podcast because I've always had the passion of helping women break their silence and help
Mhm.
them amplify their voice. And I see more and more women crying out for help
Yeah.
because we're living in this tumultuous time in our, like the last 3 years have been challenging for a lot of people, including myself. I just left my corporate job a week and a half ago, praise God. So I
Yes.
can, so I can serve these women who are in need of help. And I see it. I mean, I see, a lot of things happening out there, like with, because I've always felt that domestic violence was swept under the carpet by
Mhm.
law enforcement. Fortunately, I had the support of law enforcement where I used to live. So, but in other parts of the country, there's no support.
Mhm.
There's no support, and people, they're looking for resources, and they're looking for hope that they can change because I know that some ladies that I have talked to, um, they have that emotional attachment towards their ex still.
Mhm.
And that is something, so I help women, break through those self-limiting beliefs. And it takes a lot of work because I went through the work. I had to do a lot of inner deep work.
Yeah.
So I hired a mentor, when was it, 3.5 years ago? This was like right after COVID happened, and I invested $3,000
Mhm.
in his mentorship program, which paid off. Um, but he helped me break through those self-limiting beliefs because there were still things that were holding me back.
Yeah.
A lot of things that were holding me back, and the past was one of them. you know so that's what inspired me to start a podcast. So starting the podcast, 4 years later, we're in, I think, 8 countries right now. And we're growing, and my message of breaking the silence, and is out there because women are looking for help, and they're looking for change. They're looking for empowerment. They just
Mhm.
don't know where to start.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow, Angeline, that is an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing. I had not heard all of your story, and so thank you. I just thank you for
You're welcome, Brandie.
just going that vulnerable with us. And I'm sure that's going to impact so many women who listening who may be struggling in silence, who aren't, you know, out about what's going on behind closed doors. And so I just feel like your story is so empowering to the women listening or to women who will hopefully come across this podcast. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for that. So I would love for you to share a little bit more about your vision for the
Mm,
podcast and your coaching program. So we know you launched your own signature program, Let's Break the Silence, but you also do one-on-one coaching
yes,
too. So
yes,
could you share some more about how that works and how you serve the women you
yes,
work with?
definitely. Yes, the one-on-one coaching um, program is a 9-week program that takes. It's based on life experience. So
Hmm.
based on what I have learned, like creating a vision for yourself.
Right.
Okay. The first step is taking ownership, creating a vision for yourself. Because I had a vision and I had a dream. And my dream was to, 14 years ago, to move up here to Saratoga Springs. So I share the tools that I've learned to help me feel more confident and, live a life that is filled with abundance, because life is too short to live in lack. Okay. We could
Hmm.
say, like, I can't do this, I can't do that, but guess what? That's not true. That's not true. You are qualified. God has qualified you
Yes.
to live the life that you truly deserve to live. And who knows, maybe you can help another person. Okay.
Hmm.
But it focuses on creating that vision. Self care. I talk a lot about self care and self love. I have workbooks. I take them through the journey from freedom, from the depths of despair to freedom and liberation. And, living that life. We go through mindset work, a lot of mindset work. There's a lot of inner deep work that's involved, which I went through to help, what we're doing is we're peeling back the layers. That's what we're doing.
Mhm.
So we're peeling back the layers and, discovering that, yes, you do have potential. You do deserve to live that life. So there's a lot of mindset work, heavy mindset work. I talk about self-love, like I went for my hair this morning. So my
Yes.
hair color. So that's a form of self-love. Instead of being emotionally attached, see, because this, I can tell you this, and I know that you and I had talked about this, okay? That there are women who are looking to be fulfilled, but in the wrong way.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what they do is, okay, so let's say that they leave their abuser. They feel lonely and empty inside, but they're looking for that other person.
Mhm.
What they're putting out to, what they're putting out there in the world, if they're putting out trashy stuff, or they're going to attract trash in their lives.
Right.
Okay? When you put out good to the universe, to God, it's going to come back threefold. And I teach
Mhm.
that's one of the things that I teach, because they're looking to be fulfilled. They're looking for instant gratification.
Mhm.
And that doesn't
Yeah.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
instant gratification doesn't work. It takes time. It took me years. I mean, this is a 9
Mm.
week signature program, and it's going to help you amplify your voice and regain your power. It's going to help you regain your clarity and your confidence and peace back in your lives. So, I have my one on one coaching, which I do teach, um, which is an option. If you want to do the self paced module, you could do the 9 weeks by yourself. But I strongly suggest that you work with me, because we're going to have weekly accountability calls.
Mhm.
There's going to
Yeah.
be there's going to be some crying. Like I said, the
Yeah.
uprooting is good. That's going to be, but that is when, that's when you're going to see your breakthrough and your healing, because there's going to be a lot of wounds that are going to need to be healed. Now, you can, like you can manage them, if they still come up, I give you the tools in order to manage that healing, in order, for you to heal. So this way you could go out, let's say you want to start your own business.
Mhm.
What lights you up? What lights you up in your life? You know, you want to be a coach. I mean, I've interviewed women on my podcast who are thriving after domestic abuse. They're coaches, they're authors, they're speakers. So that's what
That's
I
awesome.
desire for you. That's what I desire, for that woman, because I know that they have potential. They just don't see it in themselves.
Mhm.
And that's what I teach. There's exercises, like I said. I give you a free workbook. There workbooks, a lot of workbooks that, a lot of work went into that. You and Brand, and
Mhm.
I was fortunate. I'm very grateful that I hired you, Brandy, to create my signature program, because my Let's Break the Silence signature program, because I realized that there were some missing pieces. Okay.
Mhm.
And also operating in a spirit of rest
Yeah.
and your true identity. Okay. Your true identity. There's going to be a lot of inner work that's going to be involved, but discovering who it's a rediscovery,
Mhm.
your rediscovery of your true identity, and being drawn closer to God.
Yeah.
Okay. Because God helped me, God guided me not only to create my signature program, but also my podcast too.
Mhm.
So I, women, we can do this. I mean, if I could do it, they could do it. Okay. To feel that sense of empowerment, because mine is about empowerment. Now there's a lot of domestic abuse survivor support groups but they don't offer those type of programs.
Mhm.
Okay? Like
Yeah.
a lot of them may be still in therapy. Some of them are still working, or they're working, but they're looking for something else. Okay. It's my mine is not about complaining. Okay.
Right.
It's Mine is about empowering you to be your best self. and to discover
Yes.
your true identity with God. So I teach all that. Is, like I said, it's a 9-week program, and I launched my masterclass last week. So there's going to be some weekly episodes, sharing little snippets about, my masterclass and what my coaching program is all about. So for the first 5 ladies who decide to join, they can go to my website, letsbreakthesilence.com, and they go to the signature program. So if they want my one-on-one coaching, there is a discount code that I can give them, like a coupon code, and
Mhm.
they will receive $500 off the one-on-one coaching. Now, for those who just want to do the self-paced and which is fine, they can do that
Mhm.
too. That again is $500 off.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so I have 2, pricing points. But like I said, for the first 5 ladies who decide to join, this is going to be a limited time offer, because I'm going to be filling 1 spot, so there's going to be about 4 spots left. So anyone who is interested, they can reach out to me, letsbreakthesilence.com, and also my Facebook page, which is Angeline Constantino. That's the best way to reach me because I do a lot of interacting and messaging. So, and also
Awesome.
they can join my free Facebook group. Let's break this.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So there's,
Awesome. Yeah. You asked my last question of where can people find you and how you can
oh,
serve them.
good.
So you got all those links, and I'll put the links in the show notes as well.
Good.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Angeline, I'm so excited. Yes, I'm so grateful that we got to partner. So Angeline did mention this. So she came into my Victorious Systems offer where I basically help you build out your website, your landing pages, your email sequences, your coaching portal and membership portal. So I kind of built up all the back end for Angeline so that she had this amazing vision that God has placed in her heart. And I was just like, I can help you bring that to reality in the online space. And so it's been a beautiful partnership and just an honor to work with Angeline. And so that's why I was so excited for you to come on the podcast today so we can share more about how you're serving this special group of women who just need right to be equipped and empowered to really step into their divine identity and the calling that God has on their life, because he does not call us to be abused by people who are supposed to love us. And so for you to help women just step out from that victim mode into that victor mode, that like God has called us to be victorious. We are victorious in him. And so I just think that's so beautiful. And I truly love your mission and your vision and heart behind everything you do, Angeline. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us today.
Oh, yes. And thank you, Brandie, because God called me to contact you through Victorious Entrepreneurs Rising
Mhm.
Facebook group, through,
That's
the
awesome.
organization that we're partnered with. So, Brandie had the vision and I had the vision of, relaunching my coaching business, but to a new level,
Hmm.
new level.
Yeah.
So I feel very grateful, um, because I'm a firm believer in outsourcing.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Delegate, right? We did
Delegate.
that in our like second
I have
session.
Right,
Ditch,
and I
do,
have a virtual
delegate.
assistant too, so I delegated everything to Brandie. She's done a great job of putting my systems
Thank
together,
you.
my email sequences, my website. It's absolutely amazing, amazing. So,
Thank
definitely,
you.
if you need help with systems, definitely reach out to Brandie for that. And, as far as whoever's listening today, I would love for you to be part of my community as well. So I have a
Hmm.
private Facebook group. I provide resources. I do lives on Wednesdays. We launch weekly podcast episodes. So we have one that's coming out tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time, which is great. And, I'm blessed to be working also with a podcast agency. They prepare all my social media graphics and
That's
reels and
awesome.
everything. It would
Yeah.
take me a year to do it. That would take me a year. They do it in 20 minutes. I'm like you on my website. I was like, this would take me a year to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in order to run a successful business, you need to delegate. That's
Hmm.
something that I have learned. So you can't do it all alone. But
Amen.
yeah, but I'm here to serve. I want to serve you because that's what God has called me to do, is to serve you. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to help you. I
Yes.
want to help women who have gone through domestic abuse, even women who are divorced. A lot of them have gone through abuse, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
help them regain their voice, their peace, clarity, confidence, help them step into their true identity, and identify what their true purpose and calling is in life, because they have it within them
Yeah.
and they've spent too many years lying to themselves
Mm.
and being just emotionally, because verbal abuse is worse than physical
Yeah.
abuse.
Oh yeah, that gets down deep.
It really gets
Yeah.
down deep. You're right. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yes.
Awesome. Well, anything final that you want to say, Angeline, before we close out today's podcast?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. God has given you, okay, God has given you a life filled with abundance, and God does not want to see you suffer.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, because I know for myself, I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't depressed, just a lot of anxiety because
Yeah.
I didn't know, I was living on my own. I mean, give all your anxieties and
Mm-hmm.
worries to God. That's what I did.
Yes.
Yes. And God is going to provide for you. You may not see it right away, but you will see it. It will happen,
Mm-hmm.
because it took me a little over a year to finally escape my abuser, and settle my court case so I could move up here and live the life that I am living now. I mean, I'm living now in a 2-bedroom apartment, and where I am right now, and I live in a beautiful area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve to live in a shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I sought shelter myself, but that's not where God has called you to be forever. It's a
Right.
safety, it's a place like for safety and everything, but I can tell you this, nothing grows from your comfort zone. So
Mm-hmm.
step into your power, step into who you truly are, take ownership, and you will step into victory,
Yes.
because God wants you to be victorious, and I want you to be victorious. I
Mm-hmm.
want this for you.
Yeah, so powerful. Thank you so much, Angeline, for joining us today. I just so appreciate you guys. If you want to reach out to Angeline, or if you have any reviews or comments, feel free to leave those for the podcast, and I'll pass them on to Angeline. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Angeline, for your time today.
Oh, you're welcome. It's great to be here on your podcast. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.